Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts. Leicester Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Are you ready? I'm saying, are you ready?
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Good evening, fellow Fox fans. How are we? It's 6 o'clock, and if you've managed to get back from the match, I hope you got back safely. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. We are on Facebook, Leicester Till I Die, the group. We're on the old Twitter sphere at Leicester TID. And if you are on YouTube, it's Leicester Till I Die TV. And if you're not on YouTube, please pop over. We're slowly growing. But give us a tweak me buttons, pull me sliders and do everything, and just sub to the channel. We will be forever grateful. I'm not totally with it today, so please bear with me. Couple of hellos just to start. JJ, you were in earlier. Good evening, how are you? I hope you're okay. Just got in. Why the hell does he take Vestergaard off with 40 minutes to go and bring Evans on? Completely disrupted the back line, and I truly and utterly hope Maddison is dropped after today. Were you there, JJ, or were you watching it or listening to it? I'm not. Vestergaard appeared to be playing really well, and I think, as you've put there, it was for fitness. Charlie, good evening, sir. How are you? Man City fan. You're saying good performance from City today. Now, you see, I would take that as Leicester, but Man City fans think they're the only City. So I'm a little bit confused. JJ was down the KP, so JJ, I'd love to hear from you. If you want to come on, say so, we'll get you on, because like I say, I wasn't there. It'd be great to sell us, because it sounds like a great atmosphere and what have you. So, and it looked and sounded like a good performance. We'll find out. It is. You know you made it, Brad, when you got your own jingle, don't you?
Right. Definitely have, mate.
And I'm a bit confused because I believe if you're watching on YouTube, we are now monetized. So if you would like to make a donation to the channel, I think it might allow you to. Let us know. Let us know if you can. TM, well, you did say that it might be over. Boy, did you come crashing down 3-0 today. Yeah, let's have a look at the results, shall we, first of all, Brad? A couple of surprises in there today before we get on to our own match. Palace-Tottenham was probably, for me, the biggest surprise.
Well, good news about that result is I went 2-1 Palace on the long ball LCFC league, so I've got myself some points there. Bad news is I don't think I predicted it in the actual.
You didn't. You
LCFC
predicted a draw. In fact,
yeah,
none of us on the prediction show, none of us, I've got to tell you, have come out with many points this week at all.
No, definitely a few surprising ones. It was one of them games, strangely enough, that I think was written on the wall. I mean, I heard that I think Tottenham had 2 players pulled out for whatever reasons, whether it was injury or maybe something to do with the pandemic. It might have been. I genuinely don't know. I'm not being ignorant now. I know there was 2 players missing from the defence. Dyer went off early in the game. 10 men. If Palace don't win that game for me, then they're doomed. So if you don't win a game in that situation, no matter who it is, the signs are all there for Spurs to lose today. And I wish I'd have gone with it when I went with Watford instead. Last week before.
Arsenal finally getting some points on the table.
Yeah, and a 1-0 win against one of the worst Premiership sides I've seen in a long time come up. And I'm sorry, Norwich fans, but even against us, yes, you had your chances. Yes, there was a very late goal ruled out, but we were very poor that day and we made no qualms about it. That to a point, Norwich may have felt unlucky, but I stand by what I said about them. They were very poor and they've only just scraped a 1-0 win in all realistic senses of it. Doesn't matter how dominant they were. Yeah. Norwich probably might be like us, being a bit hard done by, to be honest with you.
And then we're looking at honestly, I might as well have just predicted everything the other way, and I might have done better this week. Brighton getting a win away at Brentford. You and me both went for the Brentford win.
Yeah, and that buggered us up, didn't it?
Yes.
But Brighton, they're obviously showing that maybe after grinding it out as boring as you can, they might actually have something working together. Either that or they've only got a few more wins left in them. But hey, a win's a win. Probably a bit of a deflating one for Brentford. I don't really know how the game went. I think at half-time there was only 1 goal scored, maybe 2 throughout the division as well. So
yes, it was very few at half-time.
Yeah,
match of the day is going to be a little bit boring.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the results there. I mean, apart from Man United's expected big victory and the early kickoff, all right, Wolves got a second. There wasn't many goals throughout the whole division, was there, mate? So
I don't want to sort of give any spoiler alerts, and as they used to say, if you don't want to know, turn away now. But
yeah,
Ronaldo scored.
Oh. Now,
I'm sure it will be on Sky all night tonight. And in fact, I'm sure, according to Sky, the only game that was played today was Man United Newcastle. But and West Ham Southampton got the boring 0-0.
Yeah, which I predicted, I think, on both.
You did actually. You did go for a draw with that one, yes.
Yeah, I think I didn't get the score right on the long ball, but I think I might have banked it. I could be wrong. I probably am, but it's just nice.
I mean, basically, you and me went for a Tottenham win. We both went for an Arsenal-Norwich draw. We both went for a Brentford win. I'm not copying you again. I'll tell you, this is what happens when you do a cheeky copy, like at school, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, it is early days. We do know it is early days, of course, at the moment. I mean, TM says they're still second. According to this, you're actually, you're fifth, but you're, I suppose, technically joint second. Leicester, actually, I thought we'd have dropped down a lot more. We're in ninth.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't know what other fixtures are left going into the weekend. I'll be honest with you, this one's been a bit of a blur to me, so to speak. I was so fixated on just this game which lived up to the hype from what I heard of it. Because unfortunately, I wasn't able to find ways to watch
Yeah.
it.
Well, Chelsea are
So
playing Villa at the moment, and then we've got
yeah,
Leeds,
I know
Liverpool,
that's
and Everton, Burnley.
Oh, right, Everton, Burnley. So could all change over the next case of 24 hours at league table again.
Yes, it can. Yeah, I don't think we can be overtaken. We can't be overtaken though.
Possibly not.
No. But did you get to watch it then in any form?
I had to use LCFC radio, unfortunately, but probably one of the matches I think I've ever seen this, but for a loss, I'm kind of gutted I missed watching it because maybe it was the obvious LCFC bias that you're going to get with any radio station that works for a club, or is run by the club in this case, but it sounded like a hell of an effort by our boys. It really did, and it was pleasing, especially when you consider first up on a Thursday night is Napoli. Europa League football returns not just to King Power but to fans. You needed a performance. By all accounts, for the majority of it, did a really good job. It's just
Craig said there, overall, he thinks it was our best display of the season. It sounded like a good display. What I'm going to do, JJ and Craig, you were both there. I'm going to just put the link in there. If anybody that was actually at the match wants to come on and just say for 5 minutes and just give us an opinion, the links in the chat there now. Not on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you've got to go over to YouTube or Twitter to find the link. Now, what did you think of the starting lineup? First of all, before going to starting lineup, let's look at Man City's starting lineup, because we kind of knew that FIFA would bottle it, didn't we? And allow the players to play. The fact that rule's been in there for however many years, doesn't matter.
It was always the case, weren't it? But even if they did get the ban, maybe Leicester would have got the goal with someone like Carson in goal. Who knows? But game's not won on what ifs, is it? So
no,
it doesn't matter. They're still a good team throughout. No matter what lineup they put out, they're still very difficult to beat. And like I said, unfortunately, I had to listen to it and not watch it because my stream was just not having any of it. It sounded like a very good performance, at least encouraging, if not at times nervy, when Man City were obviously clearly on top. Hints of frustration in the second half. That goal did seem to knock stuffing out a bit. Players did look tired. But on the overall thoughts of the starting 11, mate, it was kind of what we was hoping / expecting with Vestergaard. And obviously, I know we'll get onto it later and we'll discuss it more, but obviously very pleasing. People have to remember the occasion in football. Clearly, the plan was there. It was dead on the hour mark. He took Vestergaard off and Evans. It's just cruel twist of fate that we then conceded. Don't give too much towards Brendan on that, because that is just football sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it was quite clear by the purposeful minute of the sub.
Evans' first touch was a block.
It was good to see, wasn't it? It was good to see.
I thought Amati was unlucky to be dropped, and Soyuncu was the one that was kept in. We'll come on to that in more detail later, but it was. Pierre obviously took a knock in the last games. I was kind of surprised to see him, but then when I thought, well, yeah, fair enough. And Castagna seemed to have a good game. Bertrand, well, I think we all wanted him back anyway, didn't we? Indeed, Tillerman seemed to. When it comes to the man of the match, I've got somebody in mind. If I say that Alan didn't agree with me, we'll come on to it later. Just again, Maddison not having his best game. Vardy unlucky. JJ said unlucky with the VAR, just offside. But we did at times when we hit them on the break, it sounded and looked like we were going to get, possibly scare them a little bit. But my God, there was times when we were trying to build a brick wall in front of our goal.
Yeah, and for the most part, we did a great job of putting a brick wall in front of them. It was really good defending. By the way, you're making it sound your man of the match. I think me and you may be on the same sort of lines for who I have in for man of the match. When it comes to it, just so you're aware.
Right. I might change
Yeah.
it then, because after agreeing with you on most of the score predictions this week.
Hey, told you, don't copy my homework. I'm smart. I like my lead. I like my position where I am. I like to catch you up slowly.
Yeah. JJ, yeah, I suppose it can disrupt the back line, but then
It did, but it's always going to do that.
You don't know when you make any substitution
But
is kind
that,
of going to be disrupt,
yeah,
isn't it?
and think of it this way, right? It was clear that he was only willing to risk Vestergaard for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
He didn't want to push him and have some centre-back knackered and then give Johnny Evans, who's been out for a while, 15 minutes to get himself right in amongst the action, which of course he's more than capable of being a good calibre of defender. He can get into it quicker than most, but still that couple of minutes, was it ideal? Well, it needed to happen. But he's really done that on the 60th minute and gone, bang, that's just the run making. I'm sticking to my tactical plan. That's the way I want to manage this game. Getting Evans half hour under his belt as well as Vestergaard back. It's a double positive for Leicester. Had that been a harmless throw-in or a goal kick to Leicester when that sub was made, you might have been right. It did disrupt it. And unfortunately, that's a gamble he had to take, making it on the 60th minute. Because to me, that's a clear tactical preemptive sub. Given the minute,
I agree. I'm getting worried now because I'm agreeing with you so much these last 2 weeks. I think I'm.
It's a haircut, mate. It's taking the sense.
It is. You do look sensible now. So I think I can agree with you. But yes, I mean, if we all wanted Vestergaard back, and he played amazingly. I mean, he was up for everything. From what we could hear and what I could see. Unfortunately, with what I was watching was in Turkish, so I was listening to LCFC radio like you were, but it was obviously out of sync. But he seemed to be having a good game. If he'd kept him on, though, for the 90 minutes and he'd had a recurrence of the injury, he would have been blasted for that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what means. Like I said, literally, all Leicester fans need to do is take a breath about the moment. Think about it tactically as a manager's point of view, because we all profess to be managers here, don't we? All us that have to watch it at home and can't always get to the games or been to the game. You're a coach, you're a scout, and we're managers. Let's face it, I am as well. That's why we do these things, and that's why you guys interact with us, right? But that was so, to me personally, and people are going to disagree with me. That's fine. You're entitled to disagree with me and tell me I'm talking loony. But to me, just because of how purposeful the minute was, the sub was meant, and it was just, I say we have to see it as it is. We saw them play, we saw them back, and I agree, Vestergaard had a brilliant hour. For me, he had a brilliant, outstanding hour, and to be fair, the goal was one of them where you kind of, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping the gun to you getting there, Chris, but for me the goal was one of them when you thought, oh no, Sancho was having a great game as well, weren't they? All of them had a great game in that position, and then it just happened to be that defender involved in it after all the trials and tribulations he's had in the performances, not just with Leicester but with Turkey. It's him that it happens to bobble off or whatever it did and go to fall into practically open goal for Gundogan by the sounds of things. Yeah, that just summed up our efforts, didn't it? It summed it all up where we're at the moment.
These things are. I'm going to sound very sort of typical football commentator here. Is the fact that yes, it is. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and we've got to look with the likes of Vestergaard, with the likes of Evans, Pierre, all these injuries. We can't bring these players back in, and we've got to ease them back in because we want them fit for a length of time. Yeah, rather than bring and any change, I think, had we scored, had we let a goal in before the substitution, made the substitution, you can't, it would have still disrupted the back line to a degree.
Yeah.
But and a lot of people are saying this. David's just commented this, and other people were saying it earlier. Casper Costas. I mean, we know he
saved us as well. Let's be fair.
Yes, exactly. I mean, again, yes, we know his kicking is probably his weak point, but overall, you put up with that because the other 95% that he gives us. I mean, that guy was, to me, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with you here, David, and then we'll see which one Brad agrees with. But to me, he was a colossus because, again, listening to it, he was stopping everything that was going at him. You know, he was like one of those sort of, Sabutio goalkeepers on the end of a stick with the guy moving him up and down. He was literally, he kept us in that game.
Yeah, he did. And to be honest with you, we have to either like it or lump it. It's not a mystery. This isn't breaking news on Leicester Till I Die TV. Casper's kicking's been a problem since they joined us. Probably been a problem since the day he started kicking the ball out, because it's never changed. Yes, he's got the odd assist when he's got it right, but percentages wise, he doesn't get his distribution right.
No.
So
do you think that's the coaching team? How long has he been there? Like you say, he's had this problem since he joined us. Should we not have sorted it out?
Yeah,
You're a goalkeeper. Is it sortable?
No. Sometimes it's just not. Sometimes it's just such a mental block, you get stuck in it. My kicking was horrible. I had to turn my shin pad around to get the ball to that. I could kick it to the halfway line, but to go across the floor. I mean, I'm lucky I had my reactions about me as a keeper. It was the only reason I ended up being one, to be honest with you, because I made a few saves on my own account. But I can tell you now, it's a mental block, and he needs to figure something out. Whatever it is, he needs to find a way through it, because clearly the only other option is someone else takes it. And that clearly isn't an option in Brendan Rodgers' eyes, to have had someone work on taking goal kicks for him, because A, he would have done it by now, and B, the reason I'm guessing is because it's taking somebody out of a position that enables us to attack quicker up the field, which at points we did today, but there was still some moments in play where it sounded like the urgency wasn't quite there, or it wasn't. I mean, there's definite signs of rust against quality still there that didn't help at times. A few slap passes throughout the game, but like we've said and we've stressed it enough today, there was 3 players of concern. Vestergaard getting a full-ish return. Well, he did that. He got over 3/4 of the game. It was seeing Evans get some minutes under his belt, and minus his deflection with the goal that led to our defeat today, Soyuncu had a fairly solid performance. And like I said, it sounded like very much all 3 of them, minus the goal, including Bertrand and Castagne as well, doing their work, as well, obviously, as well as everybody else, but I feel like they sounded like they had a stellar game. So, you know me, Chris, I always say I never like to lose a game, but there's ways to lose a game. And from what I can gather, it sounded like a game that you gutted, but you go, you know what, if you're going to play like that and you lose, you keep playing like that, you ain't going to lose too many. You know what I mean? That's what I get from that performance. I mean,
yes, there is the performance, and there is the result. And playing well and losing, I'd sooner not do. I'd sooner play shit and win. But when you look at the games we've played this season, I mean, West Ham, we know we were just bloody awful. Yeah. We just got that totally wrong. But West Ham and Norwich, I think both games we were lucky to get the 3 points. Here, we probably played better than the other 2. And yes, we were defending for long lengths of time. And Man City probably overall did deserve it, if I'm honest with you, because they were the ones who were attacking. But when we did attack them, we looked dangerous. So, but for me, and Craig said it earlier, who was at the match, it probably was the best performance. With matches coming up now for the next 3 weeks, 2 a week. We probably needed the performance because it was Man City in a match that was probably where the result was a bit of a given. Yeah,
I mean, it was one of them. Man City, whether you like it or not, you can say about them when they're not winning Champions League finals, they've won more than enough. No matter what you think of how they've acquired these players and your opinions on it, it doesn't stand, against facts of the fact that they've won these trophies and they've won Premier Leagues. And I would probably say for 70, maybe even 80% of the Premier League, it's probably a case of it's a free hit more times than not. And probably out of that 80%, I'd say maybe 20% really feel as a combined unit, they actually have a real genuine chance of getting something from Man City if their team turns up. And Leicester have done that over the few course of the season. Let's not forget, we've had 4-2 wins, 5-2 wins, 2-1 wins. You know, we've had good games with Man City. Yes, we've received it on the other end like 5 or 6-1 or whatever it was. And, you know, we can beat 2-0, whatnot. But we're probably one of that small percentage of sides outside the big boys, as they like to call them on Sky, that really feel they can get something out of Man City more times than they should, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think two things we've got to remember as well for me is one, we were playing the champions of England. We were playing the best team in the land, and there will be until they lose or keep the crown next season. So we're doing that, and we went toe to toe with them. You know, we didn't. Arsenal let 5 in. You know, teams have let, you know, they got a 1-0 win thanks to, and I'm not blaming Soyuncu for the deflection, because I think if it's a deflection, you can't, there's nothing you can do.
It's just cool, isn't it? That it happened to be when they got the deflection. That's all it is.
Yes, yeah. And do you know what? I'm not as depressed as I thought I would be. Had we lost 3 or 4, but we went toe to toe with them, and I think we can take a lot of positives.
Yeah, definitely. I've already made a surplus about seeing the 3 defenders get minutes on the pitch and perform to a good standard for the time on the pitch. I definitely 100% agree with Soyuncu of his deflection. It's just sod's law. His name's on it. I was happy to see Bertrand in the team. Not that Luke Thomas has done anything wrong. Of course not. He's been brilliant. It was just happy to see yet again another player that could offer us something going forward. And it was nice to see the play. I'm going to have to say I stole it off LCFC TV, but their commentator summed it up perfectly. And he said it was a real contest where you knew you was watching the Premier League champions take on the FA Cup winners. Like it normally is, you know, you got 2 very good teams that had 2 very good years in terms of success with silverware, and they played a game like it. It was like a real chess game at times.
Yeah, you know? And we've got, like I say, let's bring our answer to John Watson in. He was there at the match. Good evening, Craig.
Good evening, Chris. Hi, Brad. How you doing, mate?
Evening, buddy.
Best game we've played this season, despite losing.
I thought overall, I thought we gave a very good account of ourselves. We definitely, we conceded a lot of possession to Man City, but then you're going to do that. But when we had it, I thought we tried to get it down. I thought we tried to play. I thought there was a couple of weak links in the team, which were surprising that he didn't address, to be honest. But overall, I thought we gave a very good account of ourselves, and as I say, and better than the games I've seen so far this season.
It did sound, and JJ says, I don't know if you saw this earlier, Brad, the new haircut's taken 10 years off you.
And that's mate. I'm only 2,000 years old now, or a bit younger.
But I mean, when I say Brad and me were both listening to it rather than watching it, but it sounded at times like we were literally doing a Jose and parking the bus, and literally was just, they were throwing everything in the kitchen sink. And yes, we broke every now and again, but we were holding on at times.
I think there was probably periods in the first half. I would say that was more so. They had periods where they held the ball, and there was one occasion where I think we made 3 amazing blocks. Different players threw themselves in front of it. There was a real desire to keep them out. The team spirit seemed to be there. They were all up for that game. So in the first half there was periods like that, but you can't go chasing the ball against Man City because they will play around you. So you have to sort of suck it up a little bit and then just try and defend as well as you can and make the most of the ball when you get it. I've just heard Brendan's post-match interview that he gave to Sky, where he was saying that he thought we went a little bit long too early in the first half. We were looking for Jamie too early, so we gave possession back. a bit too much, which is probably a fair point. But like I say, overall, I think we can be unfortunate that we didn't get at least a point out of that.
Do you think? I mean, you heard or saw the interview. Did Sky ask Brendan about Ronaldo at all?
No, they didn't. No,
No,
did
they
didn't
no.
come up in that one. No.
There was an interview where they didn't mention Ronaldo.
No.
Brad, I'm going to really upset Brad now, because I know he doesn't like this, but I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. The stats from the game, and I've taken him off screen, but I can still see him dropping his head here. But 6 goal attempts to their 25, and I think listening to it, and even Brad would have to agree, that probably was was what it sounded like. 32% of theirs were on target, but only 17 of ours. And I know that the only stat, but this is Man City we're playing. The touches there, they had 200 odd more than us, passes 200 odd more than us. It kind of summed the game up, but it does worry me. And I will come to you, Brad, on this one first, because it does worry me that 6 goal attempts. And it's not just this game. In all of them that all 4 games we played this season, we've had, I think, the worst goal attempts.
Yeah, but we won 1-0. We got battered 4-1, but that was a whole different game in a whole different time zone. For what it was worth, it was just unbelievable, weird to watch a Leicester performance like that against West Ham, and then we won 2-1 against Norwich. The thing is that while we're not probably having the 14, 15 chances that we're expecting each game, there is still obviously some concerns going forward. I mean, a few players did look a bit tired near the end. Looked like that goal really did sucker punch their effort a bit, I'm not going to lie. And we also got to look at Lukeman. We've got to look at him. I tried to say that all in one go, and it wasn't happening from my brain. He played decently. I mean, when we had the chances, they were very clear cut by the sounds of things, and obviously as a famous New Zealander said in the World Cup of Cricket once, by the barest of margins, Jamie Vardy was just offside, and who knows what that had done if he'd have just stayed, if he'd have just been the right side of play. It's one of them where I think we knew we was going to be in for a barrage at goal. But I think the percentage on shots on target tell you that it wasn't as dominant as it sounds. It's not like Kasper Schmeichel was forced into 24 saves. They weren't as clinical when they had them opportunities as they were. And yes, in football, you're right, you look. But I think Leicester had earned that throughout the game by the sounds of things, Craig, because it was, like you said, there was that desperate energy about it, which I think I noticed in the pre-season games that I got a chance to see as well. So they threw their bodies on the line. And in a game against a team like Man City that you could argue are a world above in their own little bubble when they're on it, especially, that was a hell of a defensive performance. It's very encouraging.
I think, I don't think those stats tell the full story. I think that we made some poor decisions in terms of a final pass, which would have led to better chances. And also, I'm trying to think. I can only think of probably one clear opportunity where they cut through us, and Ferran Torres, who by all accounts some idiot said yesterday was the one to watch. I'm going
to take that out of the show.
He got clean through, and it was a poor effort, to be fair. But that was the only time. I can't remember anybody getting clean through us, which we've seen in virtually every other game. That teams have got through us. We saw Traore get walked through us 2 or 3 times, and that wasn't the case. I thought they all defended very well. I thought fair play to Soyuncu. He's come in for a lot of stick, and he played very solid. Now, whether Brendan deliberately played him on the right, I don't know. If he did, it's probably a masterstroke, because he's always played on the left. And I think he feels more comfortable on the left. So I'm wondering whether Brendan has told him to get back to basics. So by moving him to the right, where he's going to feel less comfortable, he's going to cut out all of those little Cruyff turns and God knows what, because the ball's on his wrong foot. So all he had to concentrate on was defending, and he did it fairly well. To be honest, I thought he had a very solid game. And Vestergaard definitely gives us a different dimension, because he plays the passes he plays are excellent. He plays straight balls between the lines into Tielemans, then on to Maddison, and he definitely gives us a much better dimension when he's playing in there. So it was good to see him back. I know he said he got tired, but he didn't look it. It was surprising.
Well, I was just going to say, Vestergaard, we mentioned him earlier, and again on the radio, he appeared to be having an excellent game. Yeah. Evans was brought on for him. Brad and me both sort of maybe said that was probably tactical as much as anything, because it was because he hasn't played a full 90 minutes for us since he came.
He's not, but it wasn't like we were getting a chasing and he was having to do lots of recovery runs. It wasn't like that. It was, we got behind the ball and he looked comfortable. He didn't. Me and Scott sort of looked at each other and we couldn't believe why he was being taken off, because he didn't look tired, whether he'd signaled to the bench or whatever, or whether it was predetermined. I'll give him 60 minutes. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what makes me think it was predetermined. That's why I've just assumed it must have been in plan that you're only going to get 60 minutes. We don't want to risk you regardless. And it's just one of them.
We have got, like we said earlier, we have got 6 games in 2 weeks.
I think it was telling, though. It was telling, and it just touched on before about him playing Soyuncu on the right, because even when Evans came on, he didn't switch them back. He kept Soyuncu on the right and played Evans on the left. So I'm assuming that it was a deliberate ploy.
I can't imagine that Soyuncu is the sort of person that would make that decision himself.
No.
But Brad, I was talking with Ant from Beyond the 90 when we were looking at changing, what we needed to change, because the performances hadn't been brilliant, and we were both saying that we wanted 2 up front. We wanted Inacho back on. It worked so well, and we were almost like, we sacrificed Inacho, as we discussed yesterday with Craig, to accommodate Barnes back in. People are saying Barnes not had the best of games. Is it time to go back? Because Inacho, again, people have said Inacho looked good when he came on. Is it time to go and play that 2 up front? Because it didn't do us any harm last season.
No, it didn't. I think there will come opponents where Brendan will see fit to go with 2 up front, where he thinks it's better to stretch them and have something like Inacho. Maybe Dak gets a first start with Vardy, especially if he can score goals like he did on the training ground. If that's the sort of confidence he's bringing to the pitch, I think sooner rather than later you're going to see Brendan change it up a bit. I don't think he's been adverse to that. I think he's made it clear from what we've seen with the tactics he used, like I said, in pre-season. He's going to go between them when he feels it's necessary. But if we're talking about one player who people might start saying is becoming a scapegoat now, I've seen some ridiculous comments about it, but I to a point can see their frustrations, because again, Maddison, I only heard it on commentary, so Craig's got a better opinion.
We're going to come on to Maddison separately in a second, right, Brad, so we won't go on to Maddison yet. But like I say, is Barnes, do we need to drop Barnes and go 2 up front, or do we stay as we are?
For me, that if we had 2 wingers who were on the game, or let's not call them wingers because they're not wingers, wide players, that formation today would have worked well. What we had was Albrighton, who didn't have the pace to trouble going forward, and for some reason didn't really seem to be bothered about tracking back and giving Castagna any support on right back. So for me, I was flabbergasted that he wasn't taken off. More pace down both sides would have really helped. So I think when Lookman came on, he looked to be troubling Walker much more than Barnes had. If you'd have had Lookman on, and even Pereira, who would have been able to offer a little bit of defensive support to Castagna, I think that formation today would have caused them a hell of a lot of trouble, to be fair.
Well, I'm going to come on and ask you now, Brad, because you were there. JJ, who's in the comments, is basically he's not he's not impressed with Maddison today. I think that let's just bring his last comment up here. Drop Maddison for Iheanacho and send Maddison to Arsenal for free. How we change as fickle football fans, all of us, and I include myself in that. Is it time for Maddison to be maybe rested?
For me, and as I say, everybody has their viewpoint and everybody sees a different game, but he saw a different game to me. Maddison didn't get on the ball as much as I would have liked, but when he did, I thought he was good. I think a couple of times his decision making was a little bit off, to be honest, but he played a lot further forward. He was playing alongside Jamie a lot of the time. And if we get the ball to him quicker, and I mentioned this last night, Chris, your playmakers, most teams get the ball to their playmakers as quickly as they can. And we've been a little bit slow in doing that, but he was picking up better pockets today. And he is the only player who plays on the half turn. Again, I said this last night, and gets and looks to go forward. It wasn't his greatest game. He hasn't hit the levels that they had done previously. But for me, this was a much better performance from Maddison, playing in that little pocket, only just off Jamie. And as I say, if he had better support around him, you know, if you turn, you get on the half turn, you look up, you've got Jamie, and you look to your right, and Albrighton's having a drink, and Barnes is shattered after 30 minutes. I think it's harsh to say that Maddison was poor. I thought, I will agree with JJ there that Iheanacho played well in that little role. Again, he looked sharp. I think Brendan has to find a way of getting in the players who are in form, and at the moment he's switching it all around just to get Barnes in. But
your thoughts, Brad?
I didn't think Maddison was as bad as I've seen a few people say. To be fair,
Brad, your thoughts on Maddison?
Again, it's hard to judge, being since obviously I only heard it, but it was very lively in the first half. Nothing sounded like he did too much wrong. No worse than anyone else for giving a pass away or letting the ball go in the final third. The thing is, and I know you said it as fickle, is it is quite a common thing with football fans, no matter who you support. Whilst I'm inclined to say that Maddison didn't have his greatest game by the sounds of things, it wasn't maybe as active as we was hoping. I think it's fair to say that James Maddison and Tielemans' performances go a lot more scrutinised than others because of the quality we know they're capable of and what we have come expecting of them to deliver week in, week out. It's not always possible, but it is something that unfortunately I say that Maddison's probably playing a vital part in our attack. And if doesn't matter if he gets the ball a bit laboured to him, people won't look at the ball being passed to him, they'll look what he does afterwards. And if he gets the ball and tries to take it a bit too early because he was expecting the pass to be a bit quicker, and he gets it stuck under his feet and Man City get a chance to regroup, if Evans makes that pass, we'll forget about it. We won't be able to remember who made the pass to him, but we'll remember what Maddison did with the ball. Yes. And it's hard to replace that, especially when, and I have to agree with Craig, it sounded like Iheanacho was on fire. Surely, certainly sounds like he's showing no care to the fact that he's not being partnered with Vardy from the off. He's willing to do whatever it takes, and it's very good to see him, be adverse as a shadow striker, which I felt like that's sort of how he went about his business.
DJ Nick makes the point there. If we played like that against most teams in the league who don't high press and control the game, we're going to get something. And we have to say this is, like we said before, Manchester City. I mean, Craig, we know there's certain players that aren't there, and we know players that might end up coming back. Who gets dropped when Perez is fit? I'm naughty, aren't I? I'm naughty. Brad's off.
I know that is definitely a pot stirring comment, Chris. So We'll just
No,
move on.
I'm
My
just
lawyers
very-
have advised me not to speak on the matter.
It will be interesting to see that, and we're doing the preview of the match on Tuesday, Craig. It will be interesting to see who comes in for the Napoli game.
I'd like to see Lukeman start and shove him out, right?
Yeah, most prolific striker in Europe towards last season, and he's on our bench. Somebody said this early in I think it was it in our might have been in our chat, Craig, but. Yes, we've got these players. Samari didn't make an appearance today. You know, we've grumbled for ages as a club that we haven't had the depth of squad. We've now got the depth of squad, but the problem is you can only put 11 players on the pitch at any one time. So if we'd have played Daka today against Man City and we'd have lost 1-0, Brendan would have probably got roasted because we know Jamie Vardy plays brilliantly against Man City. They just play in a style that suits him. And if you're going to start bringing these other players in, bringing Sumari in, so are you going to drop Tillemans? Are you going to drop Ndidi? You know, you can't just buy a player and say, right, until somebody's played bad, you're out. There's the argument possibly for the likes of Maddison and Perez because they haven't been playing well. But we do know, do we not, Craig, that we're going to have a completely different team, I think, against Napoli.
I wouldn't have thought it would be a completely different game, team. No, because I think you can't afford to throw this game away. You know, it's at the end of it, you want to top the group, and with the best will in the world, Napoli are probably going to be our strongest opponents. I could see it the following week when it's the Carabao Cup. I think that will be a totally different team, and I think a lot of those players will get time. And I think if we were chasing the game today, they would have come on. But the fact that it was tight and we were in that game the whole time, even though we went a goal down, we still had opportunities. I think you would have seen them, but I think it was just such a tight game. As I say, I think he made a couple of. I don't think Albright should have stayed on, but I think he made changes in other areas of the pitch to try and do it. But I said last night, didn't I, that it was almost a free hit. You know, today, and he could have gone and made changes and thrown them in and see what they were made of. But I've got a feeling that this is probably not a problem. This is something that Brendan hasn't had to deal with since he was at Liverpool, to have a strong squad and then know how to manage it, you know, and give everybody the right amount of pitch time. So I think he's learning a little bit as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes over the next 6 weeks, I think.
Brad, would you make changes against Napoli? I mean, you know, we're playing on Thursday. And if he doesn't make changes for Napoli, does this mean we're going to have to make changes for Brighton? You know, we've what would you do?
Mean, I would, again, I'd pretty much read off Craig's cheat sheet over there because he's thinking exactly what I was going to say. And that is that I don't think there'll be too many changes. Might see Lukeman probably come on. I think he'll, you know, I didn't think I heard Mark Albrighton too much today, if I'm being honest. I've got to agree with Craig. It sounded like a non-Mark performance. You know, I didn't really hear him, and that's not usual. You normally hear him on ball a lot when he plays. So I think you might see Lukeman maybe come in on the right side if he uses him. I know he prefers to play on the left and Brendan wants to use him there, but you might see natural changes for the game at the weekend. You might see Ndidi come out for Samore. You might see Daka start, but I wouldn't suggest it's going to be a 2 up front. I think he'll very much play with a 1 against Napoli. They're about the only changes I can really see happening. I don't think he'll want to mess too much or rush people back.
Yeah, Craig, I appreciate that you've got to go in a second, so I'll ask you this last question, and then I'll let you go. So I'm sure I got you a cold pizza last night. Don't want to do it 2 nights in a run. Brad mentioned in there quickly, Lookman had a couple of chances when he came on, looked live, or sounded and looked on the screen lively.
He did. I mean, his first touch would have been a goal if Edison hadn't got out to him quickly, to be fair. I think what Lookman is giving Brendan, is the option to bring Barnes off the bench. And that's probably what Barnes needs. If he can come into a game when defenders are a bit more tired at the minute while he's getting his fitness back, because he looks shattered.
He's not giving Brendan the opportunity to leave Perez on the bench. I'm going to get your thoughts on this. I really am. I'm going to keep asking.
He strengthened the team because I'm not as much of a Perez hater as a lot of others. I won't mention names because, again, I think he's somebody a bit like Maddison. He's a bit like Maddison that I think you need to get the ball to him quickly. He takes up pockets of space. You get the ball to him, I think he can do something. If not, they're closed down and he's not strong enough to be able to ride challenges. But I think he's brought the players in to be able to make a difference. As I say, I think Barnes would be a lot better option now coming on for 25 minutes at the end and Lookman starting, to be honest, because he looked very lively.
Craig, thank you so much for coming on straight after the game. Go get your food. Like I said, don't want you to have cold food 2 nights running. I'll see you on Tuesday night.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, guys.
Thanks a lot, Craig. Take care, bud. Cheers.
Bye. See you,
bye. But I'm going to come back to this point, because I'm sorry. I agree that when we buy these players, like I said, it's very difficult because you can't just buy a player and put them in. Yes, I guess if it's Lukaku, I guess if it's Ronaldo, there's an excuse for that. But for the players that we'll be looking at dropping, if they're not injured, like I said, can you just drop Jamie Vardy? Can you just drop Ndidi? The problem is, for me, the point Craig made there, and I would have asked him, but he's got to go, is we think there'll be changes for the Millwall game. Are we paying 20-odd million pounds for players to come on and play? Are they a third-tier team in the fourth-rated competition that we're in? Or have we brought them in to give us something to change? And can Vardy play today, Thursday and Sunday?
Well, firstly on Vardy, no, he can't. That's why I think see, that's the problem, because Leicester are now competing on 4 fronts. They're competing in the Premier League, right? Not for the title, but they're competing in the Premier League for a European spot. And obviously, after 2 years of finishing 5th, target's 4. It's going to be difficult, but either way, Leicester competing in it. They're competing to defend their FA Cup. They competed in the Community Shield, won that, just reminding everybody. The Super Cup, the English Super Cup, sorry.
That's it. I didn't react because I had no idea what the Community Shield was.
Yeah, see? We're in the Carabao Cup and Europa League. So, I'm just reminding Man City fans we have beaten once this season and won a shiny little shield for it, more than taking it. But on competitive, from a season offer and 4 competitions, and now we have to make the step up, not just in quality that we brought in depth, Chris, but we have to make the step up and manage these players as well as the competitions to the best we're capable. I think your Carabao Cup side will be your Dewsbury Halls, your Hamza Chowdhury's, who we were still looking to get rid of at deadline day, by all accounts on a loan for him. You've got to give these players the minutes they're in the first team for. Because you're never going to see Hamza maybe find a new club and get a fresh start away from the club which he clearly wants and the club clearly want for him in some manner. You're not going to see. There's no point having Dewsbury Hall in the first team if he's not going to get game time against the likes of Millwall. And you never know in the Europa League, Chris. We could have a great start against Napoli and win our 2 home games and nick a win from any of the away games. That's borderline top. There's definitely qualification, if not borderline, you're fighting top, aren't you? And if you can do that, then these players might get the game time, but they're not going to play in the Europa League if they don't play when they're very available to. Vardy won't play in the Europa League, he'll play Saturday. So Daka might come in. That's probably where you see Daka. It might be in the Acho, but I'm sure at some point you'll see one of them's got to start, so one of them's got to come off, because Daka won't be going for 90 minutes unless it's 2 up front. I can see Ndidi getting the rest, because Samora is that caliber of player that can play in the Europa League game. Do I see Samora or Samore, or however you pronounce his name, apologies, Do I see him playing in a Carabao Cup tie? No, because I just told you I've seen Chowdhury and Dewsbury Hall play there. These players will get their chance, but they have to get the minutes to get them chances. And when you play some full competitions, yes, I want Leicester to play their strongest side in every competition. It's not physically possible because the players are human, but we still put out the best side we can in every competition. I believe that with Rodgers anyway. His intention is
I'm really getting worried that I'm agreeing with you so much here, but yes, I do. And yes, I mean, you know, it looks like Mendy's not going to be turning out for us at all before at least January, if you know, and even then, if nobody gets injured, he's not in either squad. I believe Chowdhury's in the Premier squad. I'm not sure, but yes, I agree with you. Those are the players that should be playing, like they say, the Dewsbury Halls, the Luke Thomases, who wasn't even in the squad today. And
you give returning players a chance as well.
Even Danny Ward, to be honest with you, in the Carabao Cup, in the Europa League, you've got two players, Samari, you've got Daka, who are used to playing in Europe because that's where they obviously have come from. And, you know, you look at Tillemans, you know, Tillemans played really well today, by all accounts, had a fantastic game, but he must be absolutely knackered. You know, he'd hardly had a summer off because he was in the Euros. You know, so he needs to be rested, and I would like to see Samari probably come in for Tillemans. All right, we might lose something, but he gives us that extra strength in midfield. And Tillemans, as I say, you played football. You know, if you're tired, that's when you're going to get more likely to pick up an injury.
Yeah, granted, that's very true. You are more likely to pick up an injury, and like I said, it probably won't be astronomical changes. It may be, like I said, it might be a case of what happened today, where at the hour mark, or maybe even at half time, if it feels it's necessary, depending on how the game's going, subs will be made at around that time. I can't see him giving someone like Daka 10 minutes. I'd be a bit disappointed if he only got 10 minutes in the Europa League, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that's a competition where that's where you'll get from the Europa League, you'll get the players like Samore and Daka and Lootman that go, this is why you all need to be on the top of your game, because yes, Tillemans, you'd assume on his performances in recent weeks, unless Samore scores a hat-trick or something like that, or something amazing happens like that, you're going to struggle to find yourself displacing him after one performance against the opening few games of the season. But if you do that week in, week out, then you're going to see more rotation. I think you're going to see a lot more once everybody's back and fit properly, like we've seen today. Again, big positive. Evans and Vestergaard got an hour and 30 minutes under both belts respectively. That was great to see. If we can keep this going, we can keep fit, we're going to have a hell of a team going into every competition, because the youngsters get their chance in the cups as well, which they need.
Roy says there, Craig talks a lot of sense. He talks a lot of sense as well, and I'll say that because he's not here. But I will, if you nobody clip this and send it to him, because I will never say to his face that he talks sense. Let's take a very quick break, and we'll come back and we'll round things up. We'll briefly touch on Napoli, and then we'll sort of looking at who we were picking as our man of the match, as they say, and we'll be back straight after this. It is Leicester Till I Die. Don't forget, guys, YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. Get over there if you're not on YouTube already and subscribe. And if you are watching on YouTube, if you want to support everything we do here at Leicester Till I Die, you can super chat us and make a donation. Everything is gratefully received, and I can stop buying me beans at Aldi and at least move up to Lidl at the moment. So thanks a lot. As I say, any donations gratefully received. Are we building Napoli up too much? Because I mean, if they were all that, they'd be in the Champions League.
Yeah, well, if we were all that in the last few games of the season, we'd be in the Champions League.
Exactly.
You know, you're in the same competition as the opponents you're drawn out against for the exact same reasons. You weren't quite good enough to be in the Champions League, or you didn't do enough in your qualifiers to stay in the Champions League. Whatever reason, you are in the Europa League, not Champions League. I would say Napoli are one of them where you think Europa League, you say if they're in it, or the obvious giant killers of this competition, Seville. You know, we know how to beat Seville, but apparently no other side can when it comes to these competitions from the English teams. But hey, but they're the names that you think of are going to be red hot favourites for this ones. And then obviously, you, depending on who it is that drops down from the Champions League, if they get through their playoff, which is how it's done, if you finish second, I think Napoli are probably if you want to say in the Italian corner, one of, if not the favourites from the Italian league to potentially go all the way and win the competition, if you're being realistic. With the calibre of players they've had over the years and what I believe they still have, I think if we can topple Napoli, obviously if we finish second by doing that, it'd be a bit bittersweet. But if you can start your campaign off with 3 points against Napoli, that's a big statement going forward. And it not just would it boost up what we feel we've missed out today in terms of getting a result against Man City playing well, but if we continue that in the Europa League and get off to, even if it's a draw, if we get something from Napoli, I fear for our next couple of opponents in regards to the league and Europa League, because that's a statement worth making if making one is a possibility.
Now, coming back to the match today, as you know, straight after the match, Alan very kindly texts me over his man of the match and his player and manager ratings, and he doesn't get any time to go away and think about it, because he's got to try and get a signal, and then as he's walking back to his car, texts me. So he doesn't get a chance to either calm down or whatever, like we do here. We come on an hour or so after the final whistle, and normally I agree with him, but my man of the match, and to me, I think Tielemans. I thought, from what I could see on the stream that popped up on my screen, that I didn't search for at all, but the stream that just happened to pop up on my screen, from what I saw on that and listening to on the radio, I was very much thinking 3 players for me. Tielemans, I thought, sounded like he'd had a really, really good game. Schmeichel for keeping us in it for so long. You could have, say, thrown the kitchen sink at him and he would have caught it. He would have then kicked it out, obviously, as he played it out, but he would have caught it. But I think, from what I could hear and what I saw, Vestergaard for me would have been my man of the match. And I've got to be honest with you, to me, a game isn't always about attacking. It is about holding on sometimes, and we were doing that at times. We were defending like the Custer's Last Stand, and City with the Red Indians coming round us, and I would have gone slightly different. So it's not often I disagree with Alan, but I would have gone certainly Vestergaard man of the match, but Soyuncu, we said he didn't do bad, but it was Vestergaard for me. And I would have probably gone 7 or 8 for the team even, and possibly 7 for the manager. What about yourself, Brad? And if anybody's listening, watching, who was your man of the match, and what would you rate the manager and the team? Let us know. But Brad, do you agree with Alan, or are you like me, different ideas?
I'm under the impression from what I heard it's very hard to disagree with someone who went there compared to only being able to listen
Yeah.
to it. But I feel like from what I've heard and what I've expressed today about my feelings of the match, and the comments down below suggest that I'm on the right sort of, wavelength as people that went to it, I would say that Alan's been a bit harsh on the ratings. I think I'd agree with you. I'd at least thinking of both sevens. Soyuncu probably needs to be given man of the match from the Leicester perspective. I think, even though he can't help a deflection, I need to see the highlights to see exactly what happened. I think he needs it though, because that would have still done him in. He'd have been going, "Oh, for F's sake, give me a break. I have a good game and I still get something unfortunate happen to me." But I'm actually, this is why I thought we was on the same wavelength, mate. Every time I heard Vestergaard's name, he was blocking something, he was making a last tackle, he was clearing the lines, he was getting his head on it, he was heading it towards goal. I've never heard us have so many corners when he was getting forward and someone actually got on the end of it. And I don't know if that had anything to do with the fact that people, different players were taking it, from the normal Maddison taking throw-ins, free kicks, goal kicks, penalties, bloody, I don't know what else. Last season, he felt like he had every responsibility under the sun. I'm guessing that's played a part with the better deliveries to the box, but he was everywhere.
Yeah.
And had he been fit enough, and I still stand by what I say, I think it was preempted. He was only ever going to get an hour to give Johnny Evans as much time back to improve his fitness and get back up to pace as well. I think players could have played for another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
There could have been a late goal, and I still would give it best to God, saying that they played longer and did more on that, had more time on the pitch. There was
I do wonder if people do like the new me and you, and the fact that we seem to agree on so much these days.
I don't know, mate. It's a bit weird,
Anthony, good evening. Arsenal fan, you're more than welcome. We had our first win today at Arsenal, but we're nowhere near Leicester at the moment. Really? I thought that, but you were queuing up for Maddison. But no, let me not bring that up again. But what I will say, Anthony, is that we credit where credit's due. We have been having like a daily Arsenal when we have been taking the piss out of Arsenal. The other night, I did suggest that if Arteta lost his job, that he could be, a host on a BBC quiz because, he's pointless. And, it has been easy. That said, I think today, I can't do it. I can't do a daily Arsenal today. Brad might like this one. I've got to do a daily Spurs, I think. Top of the table, Crystal Palace, 3-0. Honestly, Tottenham, what are you playing at? Eduardo, mate, people were saying, and I know it's only one game and I don't buy into this, but a lot of people say, we should have bought Eduardo, Eduardo. He wouldn't have been playing anyway. He wouldn't have been playing anyway.
I didn't look at the comments, or I didn't look on Facebook or anything, because I knew even if they're just trying to get a stir out of people, there's going to be people up there that have said, "Oh, we should have signed Eduardo," because I laughed when I saw him score 2 goals and went, "Oops." So just jokingly, because we haven't seen Patson Daki yet really properly, and obviously people are wanting to see him, and he nearly came to us, and there was some stupid clause they wanted or whatever, but it's 2 goals against Tottenham. I mean, Tottenham are quite good at bottles, aren't they? So, I'm sure they'll enjoy their August DVD where they nearly won the league and can have the Manager of the Month trophy.
In fairness, they were top of the league, Spurs, longer this season than they were last season. But that was only because there was an international break.
But it now allows them to do another documentary out of it, doesn't it? They can stretch that out over 6 parts.
Anthony, were you not watching Arsenal? Because we played at the same time, but you've given Manager 7, Team 7, Man of the Match, Schmeichel. I mean, Schmeichel, I wouldn't argue with Schmeichel, because like I say, he was like literally like the Hulk in the goal there, just batting everything away, But so I think looking at today, just to kind of sum it up, is the fact that wasn't the worst performance, and unfortunately, the result went against us. Which, let's be honest with you, we won't go the season unbeaten. And Man City was probably, at 0-0 and getting later and later. I was asked by Man City on a show last night, would I have taken a draw at that point? And I said yes, I would. And I was thinking, we may get away with this, but it is Man City, so we move on. But it was the performance for me.
Yeah,
and that's
definitely.
the sort of performance. If we can produce that performance rather than certainly not the West Ham performance, but even the Norwich performance, they were lucky, if you like. VAR came to our rescue. But games we've got coming up, Brad, and I say we do know there's a lot of them. We've got Napoli on Thursday, and then we've got Brighton, Millwall, and Burnley. I mean, to me, would I take a draw against Napoli at this point? Yes, I would. Brighton, I think I know Brighton are doing well, but it's still Brighton. I think we've got to go and beat Brighton. We should be beating the likes of Millwall, even if we're putting sort of not our first team out. At least Ben Chilwell hasn't got to be scared because he's not playing for us anymore, so he can be big for Chelsea and not be scared at Millwall. And then we should be beating the likes of Burnley, should we not?
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, Brighton's going to be tougher than everybody's expected. They've just beaten Brentford, and I think you said that's their third win of the season. I think they've got 3 wins out of 4 games. So they're better off than us in points already. So it's not going to be the easiest of games. But yes, I would expect us to get 3 points there. And then I would expect us to, beat Millwall. Because there's not a player that he probably could bring in that I think would concern me, which is a good thing. I don't think there's anybody on that bench that I'd look at, even if you put Benkovic in the defence, that I would say I'd be overly concerned that we might have banana skin. I'd had faith in us getting through that game with some ease. Now I've jinxed it, so it's my fault.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, I'm gonna cut that and stick that with your North Macedonia.
North Macedonia file. Yeah. And yeah, Burnley. I especially because it's at home, you're going to be disappointed if you don't come away from that.
Yeah.
But you're only as good as your last performance, and if we can match this performance going into Napoli, and then the domino effect of that performance stabilises because the team's in high spirits, then I don't know why we can't win them all.
No. We do say football is all about opinions, and it's what I love about the game. I mean, I say quite often we have different opinions. At the moment, we just seem to be agreeing with each other a lot. But on the BBC website, you can go and you can mark the players for their performance. And the Leicester fans although you don't know if it's all Leicester fans, of course, but you presume it is. Leicester fans have got Schmeichel as our man of the match. Second is Vardy. Third is Tielemans. Fourth, Barnes. Fifth, Ndidi. Sixth, Albrighton. 7, Vestergaard. 8th, Inacho. 9th, Maddison. 10th, Lookman. 11th, Bertrand. Soyuncu, 12th, and Castagna and Evans at the bottom. Now, there is this, did we all watch different matches? And Craig said that earlier about Maddison. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying this is what I love about football is that, we just don't know what each other is thinking. And it is about opinions. And obviously, none of us are right, none of us are wrong, because that's what they are. Like holes in your bottom, we've all got one.
Yeah, that's so true, man.
A lot of us talk out of it as well. Brad, thank you very much for joining us.
No worries, mate. Been good as always.
Do you want to come on and do the post-Napoli match? It's going to be a late one, so I'll leave that with you.
Yeah, I will let you know.
Let me know on that one, because it will be a late one. So it's European football up next, 8 o'clock, and I'm going to go off and I'm going to get ready, do everything, because we've got a slightly important tennis match this evening when we can all all get behind the English / Canadian. Don't you? I think 2 years she was in Canada, but apparently she's English. Brad, thanks very much, mate.
No problem, mate.
Performance was there. Unfortunately, the result wasn't. Take care, mate.
Yeah, and you, mate. All the best.
Cheers now. Thanks a lot. Thanks to everybody for joining us this evening. Yeah, wasn't the result we wanted. It was the performance. We got the performance back. We seem to do well against the bigger teams. And what does that say about West Ham? I don't know. But look, Anthony, I've just seen this. Sorry. Would you swap Ndidi for Xhaka plus cash in the January window? I tell you what, come back with Saka and a bit of cash, and then we'll talk business. I'll leave it at that, okay? And, Madison was poor, Facebook user says. Apparently, Craig was at the match. Didn't really see that. But like I say, we've all got opinions. We've all got opinions. And, none of us are more right than anybody else. I didn't hear him mentioned a lot, but does that make him a bad player? I don't know. I wasn't there. I was listening and watching it on screen. So, guys, thank you very much. We're going to be back tomorrow night, and when we'll be speaking to a Man City fan, and he will be giving us his thoughts on the game and whether he thought they deserved it or not. We are then on Tuesday, so that's at 7 o'clock on Monday. Tuesday at 7, we've got the prediction show. And on Wednesday at 7, we've got the European preview show. So the preview show is on Wednesday at 7, and we obviously play it on Thursday, the post-match after that. On Tuesday, it is the prediction show, and we've got Simon from Premier Hotspur TV coming in, and let's hope we can do better than we did this week, because we didn't get many right at all. Guys, stay safe. Don't watch Match of the Day and let us know. Send us a message. If you want to come on, you're more than welcome. You get me, you get Brad, you get Craig. We all talk, but anybody else is more than welcome to come on. All you got to do is stick a message in the chat, and I'll send you the link. That was Leicester Man City. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all their social media platforms for all the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
To an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.